Hi there, welcome back to the channel. So, the drums have turned out pretty well. I've got my PVKB3 out, and just to review what we've done so far, we tracked drums using 4 microphones, 4 inputs. One of them was through this Rain MS1B. So I take the condenser mic, the large diaphragm condenser mic, and I connect it to this because I don't think the phantom power on the Zoom is quite powerful enough. And I've read about this online. It's kind of a thing that's been discovered about the Zoom, that it's a little underpowered as far as the phantom power goes. Somebody went through it, how much voltage is happening, and I think that it doesn't provide quite enough robust voltage, you know, to give proper phantom power to really power a mic like that where it needs to be. So I run that on its own preamp. It's a little more than the Zoom can really do. So I beefed that one up with the preamp. The other 3, I'm using the preamps that come with the Zoom. On the first 2 channels, the snare with this mic, and the snare is covered by the overhead mic, this mic here. Those I run through the Big Shape dual mic effect. It's number 26. So if you go to dual mic in your effects and go to number 26, it's called Big Shape. It's a compressor limiter. I use that. On the other 2 effects, on the other 2 channels as I'm recording drums, that includes the bass drum and the third mic there, which is the right overhead mic. Those have no effects. So only 2 effects are printed, and it's essentially on the left side of the kit where the snare drum is. Mainly because the rest of the kit, it has less of a tendency to overload the microphones, overload the pre's on the Zoom. So that's why I do it that way. Okay, now, once I record the tracks, I drag them to my desktop, right? Go into Audacity, do a little cleanup. Sometimes a little noise reduction. I've been doing less of that lately. But I will amplify the track if it needs to be louder. I will amplify the track if it needs to be quieter, meaning that I'll go in and take dBs away, add dBs if I need to. Usually I'm taking a little away, you know, and then I'm going to high pass filter it so that I get rid of anything that doesn't need to be there, the extra junk, because it starts to add up as you add tracks, more garbage is added in. So the idea is to kind of clean it up a little bit so that you don't start to stack it up. You know, it starts to have a tendency to stack up over time. You know, the more tracks you record, the more noise as opposed to signal is accumulating. So I try to get it as clean as I can. Then I go back into the hard drive of the Zoom. And when I go back in, I've retitled them. So now they have titles like Snare 1, Snare 1A or whatever, you know, because I've got 3 snare mics. 3 snares that I'm triple snares that I'm using. Okay, so let's play them back. I'm going to start by just playing 1 track, and I'm going to slowly enable each track so you can hear the whole kit eventually, you know, it all comes in. What I like to do, and everybody has their own ways of doing this on the Zoom, you can do it any way you want. But I always think about it as being 24 tracks. Like I'm sitting at some amazing studio back in the day, and I'm sitting next to a famous, you know, producer or engineer, somebody who's well known, and I'm really impressed that I'm getting to be in this space with him, and I'm picturing him sitting there in front of that board with all those 24 tracks. You know, it's like a Neve board or whatever, MCI board. I don't know. Name the company, and famous boards of yesteryear. I just picture the way they would do things, you know, like they would put the piece of tape down and track the drums and blah, 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 and just sort of start subgrouping things. So I just remember doing that. So the way I kind of envision it here is we have these 3 banks, you know, we've got 1 through 8, 9 through 16, 17 through 24. And I think of drums being the bedrock, so I think of those being as like the bottom. So I put those on 17 through 24, or in my case 16 through 24, because once again I'm using 9 tracks. Remember, it was 4 tracks I recorded. I double each track with the computer, so now we have 8 tracks, and I wanted to use an extra snare just cause, so that's 9. I think it just gave it a little more. We'll test it right now. So here we go. I'm going to play this. This is going to start with just this mic, this input, number 1. Then I'll put all 3 that I've doubled, and you'll see how it just gets bigger and bigger. It starts sounding better and better, and more robust, more powerful, more dominant, in the frequency range. All right. So all you have to do now, I've got the Zoom plugged in. I'm coming out with just a basic TRS cable, a tip ring sleeve type cable like this. And I'm going out. This is out of habit, I always come out of the left, because that used to be the way you always connected mono inputs. If you had a left and a right, you were going to go mono, you'd come out left. And then I went into channel 2 on this thing. I don't know why. It's the one that didn't sound too terrible. This does not sound super great, but it'll let you hear, that we did capture the take and that I've got it here. So I can start recording my guitars. And what I'll do is once I turn off the camera, I'll get my guitar out, get the 18-watt burning, and I'll start rocking along to this, So, awesome. All right, now, let's play back and hear what the snare sounds like. So I'm going to hit play. I've got it connected, like I said, to this thing. I've only got 1 track enabled, so we should only hear 1. Okay, that's at level. It's peaking a little bit. Probably distorting a little bit. Okay, that's the 1 snare. Now I'm going to add the next one. Watch this. I'm going to go back to the track before and then add the snare 3. Now you can tell what that did. That was like a lot. Watch. I'll do another one. Here comes the 3rd one. Okay, so right now, that's 3 inputs. 3 channels on. And it's all capturing this microphone. So now we're going to start with the left overhead. That'll be this mic. Here it comes. That's the first one. Now here comes the second one. I did 2 of them of each one. Getting a little louder. All right, now we're going to do the right overhead. Here it comes. First one. Second one. Bass drum. So I can really feel that come in. Remember, I cut it off at 40 because I want the bass drum. Here comes the second one. Sounds deep. Dig it. Okay with the shake, it's pretty good. Probably make some screw ups, we'll be able to tell in a minute. My songs are never very long, so you don't have to suffer through too much of this. Every beat and find it on the 1. Oh, I like the way that ends. That da-da. Alright, that's the drums. So, here's what it looks like as I'm playing it back. Let me just show you real quick. So I'm gonna hit the back arrow and go back to 0 and just show you what I was doing here just on the Zoom itself. So on this channel we have our only engaged track. So you can see how the green light is on. And then I go to this track here and then I just start turning on. good levels here. They're peaking, and I wouldn't want to do the store when I was actually, but to play back on here, so you guys can hear it. I'm gonna get the levels correct later. See it in red. Here we go. I think it works. So now I feel like I have something I can play along to, if that makes sense. On that simple constant. Sounds deep. The bass drum has like a depth to it that I'm digging, really digging. I'm glad I didn't cut it off all the way to 100. Lots of ass there, Alright. Okay, so I feel like I have good drums now. So now what I do is I plug in my guitar to my 18 watt, crank it up, I got my drums going, and I can start kind of like practicing along, really start getting a feels for it. As far as guitars go, typically what I do is put two mics here on the 18 watt and capture the two separate speaker types, and it sounds like it doesn't sound like two guitars are playing, but you get like some variance in tone. And I usually, pan them out wide. We'll get into that when we do the guitars. But having a good drum track like this and being able to sit in here with it with my guitar, I think gives me a better feel, a better live feel for how to record the track and make it feel like I'm playing. Because the goal, this is a one-man operation. The goal at the end of this is to make it sound like a band played it. I don't want anybody thinking of it as me. Like I like to picture it being Dynamite Death Chair, not me so much. Like I want people to think of it as being a band, because I would prefer for it. Ultimately it would be better if it was a band and we were recording all together. It's just not possible with the situation I find myself in at this advanced age, and just my band is scattered, and I do get to work with people, but it's always for moments of time, whereas when I'm doing these albums, I'm sort of taking my time and just going through slowly by myself, because that's just the way it's worked out. I think that's how it is for a lot of people that record on their own. It's just kind of out of necessity. Alright, so next time we're going to get into the guitars, and I'm excited about it. This song is like one of my favorite tunes. It's so simple and easy, and I don't know, it's not like the greatest tune or whatever, but it just feels good when I play it live, and I like the message. I just kind of like, it feels like a good thing, so I'm into this song. Sometimes, I think this is one of my better ones, in other words. I think it has some potential for people to be able to enjoy it, I'm hoping. I don't know. So I like this one. All right, next time.